Oh no, boys and girls, it's the weather report for April 29th, 2022. And
howdy.
I have to shut my door.
Awkward silence.
This awkward, yes. I'm glad Eric 311 and Icarus managed to join us right on time. Although we are starting early.
I left you two to manage the store, and all you got to say is it's awkward. What the? What is wrong?
You've misplaced trust in the speed.
We're not quite the professional you are, Speed.
I guess not.
I'll be back in a second.
Oh, so
I haven't seen that icon in forever.
That one, yeah. Yep. So. Anyway, we were going to talk about Cell's other stream on witchcraft and stuff, but what did you have that you would like to talk about? So all we know is that you put a comment on one of Cell's videos and the comment didn't show up.
I tried several times, actually.
Or in chat, right?
Yeah.
In chat? It was
in the side chat I put, and kept refreshing it, and they just disappeared.
Yeah, that's the way it is for me when I, if I try to put a comment on his.
And I think the actual comment thing was it was like gone too, so I couldn't post any actual comments on the video.
Yeah, well, there's comments now. You might go try. There's 2 comments on there.
Oh,
that I found. I'm not sure where they are.
Let me try.
Let me see if I can find them. I got to get rid of some tabs, man. Okay, I found a new guy. His name is Steve Hambling.
Okay.
And I like he's a teacher, I think, and he does some teachy stuff. And one of the things he does is this. Wait a minute, that's not him. Oh, that's chordates. Okay, where's the other one? I think it's this. Yeah, it's this one. Okay. Oh boy. We got the slows today.
Slow.
Okay. So anyway, he did this thing on chordates or on the Triassic and the Jurassic that I really liked. And I think his site is really cool. And I think everybody ought to check it out. So let me take a look at that. Seems to be a teacher. He's got a thing on, DNA, digestive system, pig respiration, a bunch of other stuff. Seems to be some sort of a teacher. So it's a very good site.
Okay. It says I can add a comment here. I don't know if it would actually work.
Yeah, you can add them, and when you go back, you will see them. But when I go there, I may not see them. So that's the thing.
Oh, hey, our dying son. Nice to see you again.
Yes, it is. Welcome back. And Icarus, yes, if this were the stock report, we'd be having to talk about cattle and sheep, and we'll be talking a little bit about goats later.
Did you say sheep?
Yes. Are they considered stock? I don't know.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
But we'd have to talk about them.
Okay. You know how I feel about sheep. Whoa. What is happening there?
Sheep disease rates are increased by 0.9%.
Okay, so let's put this up. Did you just make a comment on his thing?
Oh, no. I
think you should.
I just looked.
So we can test it. Last
thing he wants is a level-headed, rational person who's knowledgeable about science to leave a comment or a side chat on his channel.
I don't think Sel Cordova wants to be seen as a person who can't accept any criticism. Do you think?
I don't know. Well, if that were the case, like, why would he be blocking people?
I don't know. Yeah, that's I guess because we're associated with satanic rituals.
Yeah, because they're trying their best to equate atheism and Satanism.
Well, the problem with that speculation is that before you were, or I was already associated with you, and I wasn't blocked on this channel yet.
Right.
So it can't be that alone, at least.
Must be something you've said recently. It must be this cosmology thing that he's got himself into.
Yeah, probably. That's what I'm thinking.
Okay. 4-29-2022-main. I need to get rid of some tabs. I'm starting to get browser Tourette's here. Pretty bad.
Maybe he just blocks people he thinks are annoying.
Yeah.
I do think he finds me irritating.
Well, people that ask him tough questions and basically dig into his stuff, like I'd love to dig into zinc fingers with him because he claims he just slam dunked that. And he showed one zinc finger and he didn't talk anything about zinc fingers because we have 700 zinc finger genes in our genome. And he doesn't like to talk about those. And there's a whole lot of similarity in those. There's a whole lot of homology. So they're obviously copies. And there's a whole lot of other parts of the story that he never talks about. So Icarus, 12 degrees centigrade. I don't know what that means. Damn. That's going to be like 45, right? Something like that. Where's that Gur guy? Is he in our chat? No.
I haven't seen him. He hasn't been making
in
any
the basement.
comments.
He's afraid to come in. He's afraid to come here because I have.
He might be mad at me because he put out this really amusing. I thought it was a kind of a joke of a thumbnail saying that it's hard to be the smartest person on YouTube.
I got to step away for a second, guys. Be right back.
And I thought it was a joke, and I told him that it was a great thumbnail, and I put those little ROFL emojis all over it. And he said, "Scott, what's so funny?" And I just, I may have upset him. Because you know how easily he gets upset.
Yeah, because he's a beta. As Mr. Maddox likes to say.
Yeah, he's very focused in on that kind of crap.
Speaking of Maddox, I wonder if he's done anything recently. I haven't seen him uploading any videos.
Has he ever really done anything?
That's true.
I'm working on my belly project.
Hey, Andrew, did you catch the Dr. Dan and Professor Mason thing?
You mean Dr.
Mason
Mays?
or Mays? Okay, yeah, Mays.
Yeah, I caught most of it.
That was good.
Yeah, I didn't understand a lot of it, but it was still good to watch.
The coalescent thing, the way he explained coalescence was really, really good. And he listed 2 or 3 really good books that I was able to obtain.
Yeah, because I've heard of the molecular clock before, but I'm not too well versed in the coalescent theory. Yeah,
what I was trying to get to with Bootstrap, Andrew, is I was trying to envision. Okay, so they have like 80 traits, right?
Yeah.
So we've got like 2 holes in the skull and something about the hips or the angle of the hips or whatever would be a trait. Hair has hair, that sort of thing. And so they have all 80 traits, and then they remove them one at a time, and they rerun that 100 times. They'll basically come up with 100 combinations. Okay.
Right.
And then from that, they will take the percentage that give them the same tree for the part of the tree that they're looking at. and then they'll basically give that a confidence level or a percentage confidence level for bootstrapping. But what I'm reaching for is I'd like to run a real example, and I found a couple of papers that go through how to use basically how to use Mega to do that, to run a real example. And I was confused by switching the columns, though, because I wouldn't think if you switch the columns, I guess you're going to end up with different counts. Okay. I guess I have to run some examples to get it right in my head.
Yeah.
And I'm probably going to have to do some of the real simple examples. I'm going to have to do the fucking problems, right? Work the problems.
Yeah.
Which is something I'm not very good at.
I think a good way of thinking about it, or at least one way of thinking about it, is that you're basically, like you said, removing part of the data or reconfiguring it to the same data set size and seeing if that changes anything. So you're basically seeing if do I get the same result if I change it slightly, because you don't want to market or publish a result that is based on a single configuration of the data. And if you change that configuration, it just happens to change the tree topology. You want to account for that and make sure that it's not a one thing be all kind of situation.
And what I was thinking is you could consider a trait a gene. So you could come up with 20 genes, right? And out of and then you could take one out at a time, or take different combinations of those 20 genes and see if you come up with exactly the same tree. So you could do it that way too, right?
Yeah, you can. I mean, I think most of it nowadays is the actual genetic sequence, but you can use pseudogenes and ERVs, for example, just the presence or absence of them to at least partly do your phylogenetic tree analysis.
Yeah.
So yeah, that can work. It's kind of the same thing with morphological traits anyway. It's just does it have this trait, and how does the trait appear if it is present?
Right. What I'd like to get is a set of maybe sequences, certain sequences for dogs and cats, and a bunch of different species of each, and then some kind of outgroup like maybe a raccoon, right?
Okay.
Or what would be a good outgroup for dogs and cats? An elephant?
Well, what I've heard is you want it to be close, but not too close. You actually want it to be somewhat distant from the group you're looking at. So, raccoons are carnivorans, aren't they?
Yeah, but they're not exactly in the cat carnivore or felidity.
Yeah. Well, or maybe you would try something like an ungulate of some species.
Or how about
like a horse or a cow or something?
Oh yeah. Okay, both the bovine.
Bovidae,
yes. Yeah, that would be cool. So anyway, I'd like to get
a mammalia, but it's not too close to the carnivora.
So I'd like to get those, select those species, and then find some genes, basically, like say some zinc finger genes and things like that, and run those. Now you don't want to run like transposons if you're running them across, too broad an area. It could be that transposon has not popped into that species yet, right? So we don't want to do that. So and transposons are also extremely messy as far as how much they mutate.
Yeah.
They can not only mutate, but they've got like a transposon will insert into another into itself, basically into a copy of itself, right in the middle. That happens frequently, where they end up erasing themselves and screwing themselves up. They're just a mess. Transposons are.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I want to come up with a really good set of data, and I want to do some actual runs and some actual experiments, and see if we can get really good at some of this shit, and come up with some ideas, because there's a lot further that I want to go with this. Basically, I want to get down into as much as I can For embryology, okay, well, the mouse would be a good one. So I can have a mouse, I can have a zebrafish, a human. We have a lot of information on humans. And I want to look at some of the pathways basically for tetrapod limbs, for the formation of limbs. And then I want to do some comparisons for the formation of limbs between all the cats and all the dogs and maybe some raccoons and maybe some mice, because I want to know what differences there are in those different limb types for those different species. That's what I want to look into. So I'm going to be looking at the tetrapod genes that develop limbs, right? Basically,
Right.
And then go a little go as far as we can go with what we currently have experimental data for.
Right.
We don't have it all worked out. You know, there's a whole bunch of stuff
of course
on embryology. Gotta hate that. I wish I was born 100 years later, because I don't want to do any of this work myself, right? I just
well, I've often, this is kind of getting philosophical, but I've often thought about that, but going in the reverse direction and thinking about what if I was born 100 years ago, for example, where we didn't know much of anything about genetics or cosmology or multiple other disciplines, and like I just happened to be born at this point in time. Like I'm sure we'll figure more stuff out in the future, probably lots more. But I'm glad that I was born in the modern quote unquote age than the ancient world.
Yeah.
So in this scenario, do you get to pick where you were born and what languages you get to speak, and then what socioeconomic level you were at?
Yeah, I guess you can factor that in too.
Okay.
Yeah, I really wish I was your age, Andrew, because now we have enough information. Like basically, when I was learning all this stuff about cells, we didn't even know what the hell the endoplasmic reticulum was exactly. We didn't know anything about membranes, or I mean, we knew a little bit, but it was really bad.
Yeah.
As to what we knew, I don't think epigenetics wasn't even a thing yet.
Yeah.
And like God, you know, it kind of sucked.
I guess kind of depending on how you define epigenetics and getting into developmental stuff there, but
yeah,
probably even there was a very minor.
Well, the term was coined in like 1947. I was born in 51, so I'm 4 years younger than it. So anyway, so should we deal with this Patricia MacCormack witchcraft problem?
Okay.
There was something. Like, I'm gonna. Can you guys have a conversation while I check something out?
Okay.
Yeah, let's look at Roy Lewis's comment, and maybe that's something that we can deal with.
When you talk of natural selection as if it were a force, quote unquote, doing the selection, I think is putting the cart before the horse. Environmental actuals can cause mutations. What percentage of all mutations is pure environmental?
Okay, let's unpack this. So yeah, natural selection is not a force. It's just more like a filter. Mathematically, you can represent it as a filter. So, I think the cart before the horse, environmental actuals can cause. Okay, now the environment doesn't cause a whole lot of, well,
it can cause some mutations, like for radiation and things like that.
Yeah, but in the germline, the most common thing in the germline that causes mutations is copying. Basically, there's a copy error, right?
That's due to the fact that DNA copying isn't 100% perfect.
Right. So is Roy getting at epigenetics? Is he thinking, Lamarckian? I don't know. Like, what percentage?
I think he's saying, like, what percentage of all mutations we see is due to the environmental selection, perhaps?
Yeah.
Like, is he? I think I have a feeling he's talking about like how we view the genome from our human-based perspective, and how we can detect like the effects of selection, maybe.
Yeah. Could you elaborate a little bit, Roy?
Yeah.
We're trying to trying to figure out what you mean by
Actually, funny, that reminds me of something John Perry from Stayed Casually / Clearly went over a few weeks ago, I guess, or kind of over the span of a couple of weeks, where he's basically talking about, and there was a paper actually in Arabidopsis. I'm probably mispronouncing that genus. You're muted, Speed. You're still muted.
They double click. It's Arabidopsis thaliensis.
Okay, thanks.
What
All right. Yeah, so there was a paper, and the media was going off about how this shows, or this upends some of our understanding about evolution, because mutations are quote unquote not random anymore. Which, if you want to get into the nuts and bolts of it, technically, we already kind of knew that mutations aren't entirely random. They are stochastic in the sense that a mutation occurs irrespective of the wants or needs of the individual that gets it. But they are not random in the sense that there are physical constraints that make some mutations more likely to occur, and in fact, some mutations more likely to occur in certain regions of the genome and things like that. So it was a pretty interesting set of videos.
Okay, so is it right here? This thing?
We're not seeing your screen.
Oh, okay.
We're just seeing your face.
It was.
Should be satisfied with just my face.
Are you trying to show the paper?
Well, this was in the article that came up. Are genetic mutations really random? So.
Yeah, that looks like it.
What publication is that?
It looks like Science Daily, maybe. That's the one I've seen where it was put.
I'm just wondering if the new findings actually suggest that.
Well, they aren't, like I said, new in the sense that we already knew mutations weren't really random, but they are new in the sense that they provide good evidence that organisms might actually, or I should say natural selection, can take advantage of the fact of this non-randomness of mutations in certain regions. And so some regions mutate faster than others. So they're finding good evidence now, at least in this genus, that because of some epigenetic factors, I believe, in terms of how fortified, for lack of a better word, the gene is. So like essential genes, for example, are more fortified, you could say, so they mutate less. And they're saying natural selection, it seems, can take advantage of that, and it can protect these genes against damaging mutations. So it's not like causing specific mutations, which would be very weird for our understanding of evolution, but it's causing certain regions to mutate less so than others. So it's kind of selecting the rate of mutation, I guess you could say. You can look more into the actual, that one.
Okay, this is the paper? Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
Mutation bias reflects natural selection in Arabidopsis thaliana.
Yeah,
well, thaliana, I thought
it
was thaliensis. I guess I was wrong. Thaliana. Yeah, Arabidopsis is it's our model organism for embryology of plants, by the way.
Yep.
So we know a hell of a lot about it. Anyway, I'm going to buy some on Amazon and try to raise a few. But anyway, what else? Okay, I was trying to find a spot in the video. So I was going to try to find
the witchcraft video.
Yeah.
Oh.
And hang on.
We have a very true comment about Matt Powell here in the.
Why is anyone still talking about Matt Powell?
Well, I think that guy who did the documentary "The Weakness of Kent Hovind," McLennan Mitchell, is going to do one on Matt Powell at some point. He's actually got a trailer available for it. Which, if it's as thorough as "The Weakness of Kent Hovind," it's going to be good.
Yeah.
Here we have a reference by Neslig. Yes, Neslig, nice to see you.
We're on it.
Wonder if he can pop in later. I'm sure he has some things to say about genetics or whatnot.
That would be nice. It's always nice to get a visit from Neslig.
Yeah, he is quite knowledgeable.
Yep. Okay. So I wanted to play part of this. I think this is the right part.
Okay.
He says all of this entirely unironically. MacCormack is not the sort of weak-kneed climate activist who believes that we should save the planet for our children. In fact, she doesn't think there should be any children. A researcher who is published in the areas of continental philosophy, feminism, queer theory, post-human theory, horror film, body modification, animal rights, abolitionism, cinesexuality, and ethics. I don't know what that is. I don't think I want to know. MacCormack once argued that animals are equal to human beings. Now, she's arguing that humans should get out of the way entirely. The abstract for her book describes her thesis thusly: collapsing activism, artistic practice, and affirmative ethics, while introducing some specifically modern phenomenon like death cults, intersectional identity politics, and capitalist enslavement of human and non-human organisms to the point of zombiedom. The Ahumanist Manifesto navigates the ways in which we must compose the human differently.
I don't know if that's a part or not, but anyway, so Sal Cordova was coming down on her because she was advocating for the end of the human race, right? That would fix the earth. Now, the thing I want to point out is, isn't that what Christians want? The apocalypse and the end of humanity? And aren't they saying that humans are like this, we're like this evil scourge, and we're gonna
they're gonna say we're gonna kick the bucket at some point, right?
Right. Yeah, I mean they're the ones that are talking about the apocalypse, and now they're pissed off because she's saying that the apocalyptic end of humanity, it would be wonderful for the earth, that it would be more like heaven, and they're kind of saying the same thing. So I don't understand what his complaint is.
I mean, at least in some sense, she isn't wrong.
No, she isn't wrong. Yeah, and I'm pretty sure she's doing a little bit of this for shock value, to make us think like we aren't that special. Why? And the interesting thing is, in I think it was in 1981, I flew out to Washington, and I was flying over Minnesota, and all I saw was squares. The entire earth was made of squares. And what I was looking at is farmers' fields.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, what the fuck have we done?
Yeah,
I mean,
I've had some of those same thoughts with like construction and all the houses that I've been building around lately.
Yeah, because of all that, all those squares, all those structures built, there's a decrease in diversity, as well as just volume of species.
Right.
It's official now. We're pretty much in a mass extinction, I believe, because of the amount of biodiversity that's being lost over the years. It's really high.
I mean, there's too many of us. And he's calling for cutting that down. Well, then Cordova immediately goes to China, right? I mean, the problem with China pushing back on, well, they had laws, but China is a pretty fucked up country when it comes to human rights, right? Mm-hmm. We all agree with that. I mean, they don't mind running over protesters with tanks. I mean, they're assholes. And what they do for that same idea is not going to be the same as what anybody else does. Now, what we should do is try to educate people. It's like, do you really need 5 kids? 2 is enough. maybe
Yeah.
one. You know, like
Yeah, that's
cut
what
it
I
out,
was thinking.
you know, for God's sake, you know, stop it. Stop fucking producing that many people, because like right now the housing market is going crazy partially because of population increase. You know, we need more and more. Anyway, so I thought we'd go through from the beginning of the video, I guess. I've got a few bookmarks if you want to. But you wanted to talk about some things too, Scott. So you want to listen to part of it and then rant?
Yeah, let's listen and and then I'll rant because but I make the thesis of this entire weather report, at least concerning Sal, at 6:29, and I'll just tell you what I said, even though we're not there yet. Is Sal really failed as a serious intellect?
Okay. So
right here.
At bookmark 6, what?
I think I said it around 6:29, 6:30, 6 minutes and 30 seconds.
So I got a bookmark at 3:37, then I got one at 5:36. I got a lot of bookmarks.
Yeah,
but
so I'll just I'll just say Danikins or whatever.
Yeah.
Pause whenever it comes to something.
Yeah. And
Hey,
I'm running
Randolph is in the side chat. You might want to get him in here if you can.
Yeah.
No, Randolph, that's TIE Fighters and Star Wars. You were incorrect.
I sent you a link, Randolph. I wanted your opinion on atheist Satanism.
Yes, we need your observations.
Yes. Yeah, that is a picture.
Being the CEO of atheism, we need to have you come on in here.
Let's roll.
I wanted to start off with some soothing music because some of the things that I'm going to delve in today are a little bit distasteful. So let me offer a prayer for the stream. Heavenly Father, be with us all today.
We
Pause.
Gotta pray. We gotta pray.
Pause. It's not nearly as distasteful as a normal human being would take it, but because of a skewed point of view, he just finds it that way.
Right.
You know, if you had more rational thoughts, your distress over things wouldn't be as bad.
Right. Okay. Yeah, there's a whole lot wrong with with the stream that he did here, and one of them is basically cultural elitism, I think.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that. So he's being a bit of a racist dick, and a number of other things.
Brothers and sisters in Jesus Christ, especially who are watching this stream, encourage us in this increasingly evil world. But you have said, Lord, that
Okay, Danikins, what do you mean increasingly evil world? Where in the fuck do they get that from?
Well, you know, they say the same thing about the world every year. I mean, how many millennia? I guess 2, but it's been every year for 2 millennia. They've been saying this about the world.
Increasingly evil. Do you think the world's increasingly evil, Andrew?
I mean, I guess in some sense, but I don't know. I guess it depends what he means by evil here.
Yeah, what does that mean? What does that mean? Yeah.
In what sense is it increasingly evil? I don't quite get it.
Oh, I think it's comparative, because as they see religion in its death throes and continually losing membership, that it looks like less they associate religion, following their religion, with bringing good and peace to the world. And so anything that is not following their religion is therefore evil. I think that's
right
behind it.
Yeah, and that's what this whole stream is about, is he saw some things that weren't exactly his religion, his rituals, his satanic rituals.
And I must apologize for first putting up Star Trek. I meant to type Star Wars. I did immediately correct in the next comment. And you purposely skipped it.
Yeah, a lot of Christians object to Star Wars.
Yeah.
And Star Trek for its humanism. I mean,
that would have been funny if the whole stream revolved around Star Wars being on.
I know, ranting and raging against Star Wars. Well,
you've seen one star thing, you've seen them all.
Yeah, Star whatever. Didn't Chris Pinker? Is it Pinker's? What's Pinker's first name?
Steven.
Steven Pinker, didn't he write that book, The Better Angels of Our Nature, where
Yeah.
he tried to quantify the amount of evil or violence and negativity from humans, and it ended up being better now than it was in millennia past.
Yeah, crime has been going down since the 80s.
And I just wonder, has there been a good balanced critique of his book, or
I think where we see less crime is where we see better quality education, higher living standards, less poverty. I'm not blaming poverty. Poverty is a side effect of these other things not being taken care of. But it isn't causal, I don't think, because there are many poverty-stricken places that don't have high crime rates. But I think that when you get rid of things like bigotry and discrimination and things like that, that helps a lot too.
Well, you know what they say, people get angry when you don't listen to them and you treat them like garbage.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Crime is going down, but sensationalism in the news media is getting better. They're getting better at
it.
So
Nestle 20 is pointing it out very well here. That's how I think this is correct. I notice that mostly conservatives talk more about getting tough on crime when there seems to be a lack of social programs and things, when they take those away, and then they want to get tough on crime, which is more expensive than it would have been to just keep the social programs in place that are actually helping people.
The satanic panic. That's another name for it.
God, Icarus.
You mentioned satanic atheism.
Yeah.
I think we're getting there, aren't we?
We're going to get to that.
We
want right now we're talking about Patricia is it McGowan or MacCormack, whatever. Her A Human Manifesto.
Yeah.
The A Human Manifesto?
Yeah, let's get into this.
A Human Manifesto.
Wait, highlight Chris's comments. May the farce be with you.
The farce?
Farce, cough, cough.
I'm doing Vulcan, but going and with you, but yeah.
There we go. May the farce be with you.
That's hilarious.
So I skipped his prayer, but at the end of his prayer, I think one of the things they always pray for in these streams is that StreamYard won't fuck up.
Really?
And I think we ought to do that more on this channel. We ought to, like, if everybody could just take a moment and pray for StreamYard not to fuck up. Okay?
Oh, is Rebecca live right now?
I don't know. She probably is. Who knows? What's she doing? What's she doing?
No
what's she up to? Okay.
Tangelo says we have an empty house. Everyone's at Rebecca's channel.
Oh, yeah, we do have an empty house. We only have 7 people watching. So,
stop agreeing with Otangelo. You know that'll never end well.
Yeah.
So, Scott, earlier you mentioned something about CEO of atheism. No, I don't actually take that.
That's actually Speed's term. I called you something else, but I can't remember what.
Maybe not a bad thing.
I know I call Amy Newman the night manager of atheism, so maybe I was thinking of you as the regional manager of atheism or something.
So I don't think of myself that way, although I appreciate that very much. That whole concept runs contrary, but the confusion comes up a little bit because I run an organization in Canada that advocates for atheism called Canadian Atheists. And so but I definitely am promoting the idea that people have intellectual sovereignty, be their own leaders, this kind of thing. So that's the approach I take. So I just wanted to clarify that in case someone in the audience had the wrong idea. I know you don't.
Well, thank you.
So Rebecca has 61 people watching. So what the hell was
Sandy and Leo are over there, but then a bunch of people who never.
She has a topic about the trees, and I was thinking of joining that, but I saw you going, so I thought I'd come here first.
Yeah,
it's over there and have a chat.
Do we want to skip over to the Aaron Raw thing?
Yeah, okay.
That way Randolph can go over to Rebecca.
I don't want to miss your stream either.
We're getting there.
Oh no, did Sal mention Aaron Raw?
Yes.
Yeah, he does. Okay.
Oh,
let's
dear.
play.
The culture is falling apart. Let me show the Gotthard Tunnel here.
The
Here's
culture
a
is falling
ceremony for the
apart.
Gotthard Tunnel in Europe a few years ago.
Hang
The
on.
opening ceremony. Yeah.
What's wrong with the culture being dismantled and being changed and being updated so that it serves the needs and wants of the current society better? I don't see that as a problem. They want to keep everything in the medieval dark ages. I don't.
Yeah.
Well,
So
the
to them, it's
culture's
falling apart because we're progressing, as was Nestlig 20 mentioned earlier. It's progress. It's conservatives complaining about progress. Nestlig nailed it.
And talk about your timely subjects. This was a 2016 celebration of the opening of the Gotthard Tunnel, which I forget what country
Sweden.
it's in Sweden, but what country did it connect to? Or it went through a mountain or something. But at any rate, so what they did was they had a celebration. And as mentioned, yes, they did honor the lives of the people, some 8 people, I think, maybe more, who lost their lives. But then they gave there were several performances that used symbols and activities from their cultural past. And this was one of them. It was a dance routine of people dressed up like haystacks. I don't know what the people in white represent. And then 1 or 2 people that were dressed in goat head kind of regalia, who were basically symbolizing either the ibis or something called a thēr, which is a TUR, a mountain goat of the Caucasus Mountains. So that's what was going on. Yet because of the long horns and everything, Sal's mind immediately goes to Satanism. And also there were some blogs, Christian blogs and Christian oriented publications that immediately went to Satanism. And so that's what he's complaining about here, finding it offensive. But I'm going to share my screen here, but
why didn't they find? Okay, there was another part of the show where they had men and women in underwear.
Yeah, they were in. I'm not saying that it didn't raise eyebrows.
Yeah,
but I'm saying that this was from a Swiss or Swedish point of view. It was actually created by some German artist or whatever, but it's supposed to be in honor of Swiss or Swedish heritage. Now I'm going to share my screen here, and because he said he found this offensive. That's exactly what Sal's words were, and that makes me wonder.
He said it was offensive to Christians.
Yes, as a Christian, he found it offensive. Oh, here it is. Share screen. I wonder if he finds this stuff offensive. This is the old style grass dance of one of our indigenous nations.
That looks
tribes.
cool. That looks neat.
Yeah.
It too is in the regalia of old traditions, looking back and embracing a past and its culture, and recognizing it was obviously a part of their culture. But the Swiss were doing the same thing.
Right.
Should our North American indigenous people cultural practices thus be destroyed? I mean, really, come on, that's really what America tried to do during the 19th century.
And they're trying again.
And Canada was kind of guilty of cultural erasure as well. Not a criticism, Randolph, but
oh no, it's valid because the government in the old times put many decades ago put these residential schools together, and where things went wrong is that after putting people in charge, which primarily the Catholic Church stepped up to the plate mostly on those, they were permitted to operate without transparency and accountability. Nobody followed up to make sure things were running properly, and the people who happened to be running it were abusive. and psychopathic and sociopathic. They're horrible people. So it's the wrong people in charge. And so our government's lack of oversight there is the problem. Now that's been corrected, and it's these things are much better regulated now, but and we don't have the residential schools anymore, but it's just general public school and people are mixed together, which is really good.
Yeah.
But what I find offensive is the mere notion that one should be ashamed of their cultural history and want to erase it when that was just part of who you were as a people looking back. And we had, there are people who have no idea about their cultural heritage because it was successfully erased.
Yeah.
And that it's just a sad and tragic thing. And I think Sal really should be more sensitive to people than that. It's he almost said it too. He said, and they've got Christians in Sweden, like because they have Christianity, then it's okay to erase other, the previous culture.
It's so
and that's
offensive
just not
to
right.
Christians, I mean, I think this guy
Christianity is not the only major world religion.
This guy represents a dancing goat amidst dancing haystacks, is what it was, or something like that. And he seized on the goat having horns, which, to them, anything that I don't even understand why the Christians allow animals to have horns. I mean, they should be shearing them off, right? Because they seem satanic. Like I think they're just a little too sensitive.
It's no point here.
Yeah.
Well,
okay,
remember that's kind of the weapon that as a privileged religion, Christianity has been able to wield. I'm offended, so take it away. And they can be successful doing that. Of course, they used to also have the spear and the sword to also make other cultures go away.
Right. Okay. Now your bookmark is coming up in about 1 minute or about 40 seconds.
Yes, right? At 6:30 or 6:29, something like that.
Okay. So let's run it ahead here from here.
World leaders. You could see there Angela Merkel and the leaders of the European Union. The Gotthard Tunnel was being opened and they wanted to have an opening ceremony. But what ended up happening is this opening ceremony had a lot of satanic themes in it. So you have all the world leaders there, and they're going to, whether they intended to or not, they ended up participating in a satanic ceremony.
I think that's where I thought that Sal had
disgusting pagan
had shit the bed in terms of intellectual integrity there.
Right.
It's not satanic. It's from a pagan past, but they're the ones that get all Nancy girl about and I guess I shouldn't use that phrase because that's kind of sexist, but they get real sensitive about things that don't go their religion's way, that they don't like to hear from their religion, but it doesn't matter. We live in a world where people of different faith and cultural traditions need to be able to get along.
Yeah.
And as long as they're not hurting you or taking from you or, taking real things from you, then it doesn't matter. This is their heritage. And I'm sure everybody there knew that. The only person who doesn't know that they were celebrating actual heritage is Sal and people who think like him.
So did you say 2016? This happened 6 years ago?
Yes. Yeah, that was I think June 1st, 2016.
I thought it was breaking news.
No, this is he is reacting to something that's that old.
Yeah, okay. I think we're getting our
and the question arises, why do this? What's a traditional engineering? If you look at the ceremonies when they're opening tunnels or dedicating,
he's talking about
doing civil engineering is very challenging and dangerous.
And they did pay homage to the people that died during the tunnel, right?
Yeah.
And it's meant to be a solemn event and to also celebrate the achievement.
Solemn?
But instead, they decided to have this display pagan ceremonies in the ancient times. I believe it was in Switzerland, and that was very disturbing. Why did they want to highlight the pagan roots? I mean, Switzerland had.
Why did they want to highlight the pagan roots? That's what he said.
I know. Isn't that just so? Let me switch back to the shared screen. Now, I wonder if this is inappropriate too. This is called the hoop dance.
Yep.
I don't know how old it is, but it's from my reading about it, it is a traditional dance of several tribes.
That's really cool.
Yeah, and if he wants to get rid of Swiss or Swedish traditional ceremonies and expressions of such ceremonies, does he want to get rid of Native American or what was it, Indigenous American now?
Yeah,
but,
powwows.
It's just wrong. Cultural erasure is wrong, and it's a great shame of America for engaging in it, and we shouldn't want others to engage in it as well, because it's hurtful to those who take pride in that kind of history
or get some kind of value out of it. To me, it's a beautiful looking art form. I like all the colors of the costumes, and somebody's obviously put a lot of effort into going through a whole bunch of motions and movements to create that whole dance and perform it and present it very nicely. It's the kind of thing that should be celebrated, because that's an accomplishment for somebody, and that's a very nice thing. And somebody who wants to destroy nice things is being destructive, in my view. So, I look at it like, if somebody's being dangerous or destructive, I see those as red flags. Those are two of the criteria I use to determine if that's somebody I should keep a distance from.
Yeah.
And I doubt that anybody, especially among the European elite there, the leaders of that union, take any of these dances literally or that seriously, other than being an expression of pride in a cultural.
Yeah, and that was just a small part of the whole show. I mean, it was a whole show, and they had a whole bunch of stuff. But anyway, Gur's going to have Cell on his channel. Gur, don't let him see you on my channel, because that will end his association with you. So do not let that happen. Anyway, let's see. I think we're getting the Iron Raw part.
So now this will lead to Patricia MacCormack. Oh my goodness.
Oh.
So the theme of tonight is the lunacy that, atheism superficially and scientism superficially is like it's rational.
Aaron Ra.
And since this is my coming out as Satanist,
I'm going to show something about Aaron Ra.
Aaron. Asshole.
Now, to be fair, maybe Aaron Ra was using figures of speech, but he made an appearance at the Satan conference in February of this year. So this is Aaron Ra, and I'd like to give credit to Brett Keane.
He gives credit to Brett Keane. Oh my God.
Yeah.
To who?
Brett Keane.
Oh.
Yeah, one of his buddies apparently. But anyway, so Aaron Ra was at this conference, and he came out as a Satanist or something like that, and that was where we wanted to get you're okay, atheist Satanists, basically. What it's kind of a movement to kind of push back on Christianity, right? Taking over.
Mm-hmm.
I think.
Yeah, they love to identify anything they don't like. I'm sorry, Randolph. They don't.
You go ahead.
They like to identify anything they don't like as Satan or satanic. So that's what they're trying to do with atheism. It's like atheism equals Satanism. They really worship Satan. They know it too. So that's just the silly kind of snotty nose stuff they like.
My report to that is Satan, as if that's a bad thing.
Satan? He didn't kill nearly as many people in the Bible.
I think 10 is the number, and it was pretty much always, or mostly at least, a self-defense scenario. But that's my understanding. And then God is credited for killing millions upon millions of people, or maybe it's hundreds of millions. I don't quite remember. At least millions, and multiple millions. And there's a video somewhere playing the Commando theme song from the Commodore 64 in the background as it was racking up.
Evil.
Sorry?
He said, but they were evil. They were
So-
sinners.
Yeah, so I've
Mhm.
encountered a significant number of Satanists who say they don't actually believe that Satan is a deity. They're just focused on knowledge, and they like some of the satanic rituals. I guess it's like the Buddhists who don't believe in the Buddhist deities, because it is polytheistic faith, and they're just looking at the philosophical side of it. And Satanism does have legitimate philosophical things. There's the 7 tenets of Satanism that read like a human rights document, and I'll just quickly read them to you guys because they're quite interesting, actually. I don't have an interest in joining Satanism myself. I don't have a problem with people choosing to be parts of all this different kind of stuff. Now, interestingly, the original name for Satanism was Randism, and so people often think I'm making that up because it shares the first 4 letters of my name. But nonetheless, that is what it was originally called. But Satanism is the name it's famously known by. The 7 fundamental tenets are: number 1, one should strive to act with compassion and empathy toward all creatures in accordance with reason. Number 2 is the struggle for justice is an ongoing and necessary pursuit that should prevail over laws and institutions. 3, one's body is inviolable, subject to one's own will alone. Number 4, the freedoms of others should be respected, including the freedom to offend. To willfully and unjustly encroach upon the freedoms of another is to forego your own. Number 5, beliefs should conform to our best scientific understanding of the world. We should take care never to distort scientific facts to fit our beliefs. 6, people are fallible. If we make a mistake, we should do our best to rectify it and resolve any harm that may have been caused. 7, every tenet is a guiding principle designed to inspire nobility in action and thought, and the spirit of compassion, wisdom, and justice should always prevail over the written or spoken word. So all of this stuff, as you can hear, it reads like a human rights kind of document.
That doesn't sound too bad.
Is that the Satanist thing?
Those are the 7 fundamental tenets of Satanism, and they are, as if you look at it, it's really quite the opposite of what Christianity is documented to be in its scripture, but very much includes a lot of the things Christians claim Christianity is about.
Yeah. Damn. So, okay, the next thing he does is go after this Patricia MacCormack, and Patricia MacCormack wrote the book, and we talked about it. And he goes after her, and I'm not sure what I have.
So now this will lead to Patricia MacCormack. Oh my goodness.
Oh my goodness.
So the theme of
I'm feeling so naked.
I would have part of the problem is that she's a woman.
Well, she's a woman with strong ideas, that's for sure.
Ideas.
Sorry, why is that a problem?
I think it might be a problem for him. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
I think they find it more offensive, right?
Atheism superficially and scientism superficially looks like it's rational and reasonable, but it ends up leading to lunacy. And the fundamental reason for that is, if we're like...
Okay, now this is a really interesting part where he does a little precept.
If we invoke scientism, where they say naturalism and science will lead us to things, can you run an experiment? Can you create a theory from science that will tell you how to...
I'm going to slow this down just a spec. This is kind of an important part.
value one thing over another, how to value what's right and wrong, how to decide purpose. So when you can't run those experiments, the irony is, so if they deny God and they invoke just pure materialism, then all sorts of objective morality goes by. And more in general, and I'm not a philosopher, but this
amen to that
would be kind of easy to deduce.
I'll take this for that.
Like, why is one thing, there's not any objective value of why one thing is better than another. And so there's no way of people coming to an agreement except unless their whims are unless their whims are all in agreement, which we know isn't going to happen. So then almost anything goes. But
pause that for a second.
Ended up happening is it's gone in.
Please. When Christianity was at its height, or as it was growing, that was all peaceful, wasn't it? It was peaceful all along. The Catholic Church,
fuck yeah.
peaceful all the time.
Oh, yeah, they were peaceful.
And yeah, and so that having agreement isn't really part of the factor, because even Christianity doesn't accomplish that.
Right.
So that's a fantasy, just like that TIE fighter behind his head.
But anybody like Sal Cordova who thinks that you cannot know what's right and wrong, you cannot be moral unless you have some dogma or law or doctrine telling you what to do, is a psychopath. Okay, we all know what's right and wrong. We get along with each other on the stream, at Walmart, all over the place in this country. We know what the fuck right and wrong is. It's what humans are built to do, basically. Any human that's raised with other humans in a relatively reasonable environment will know what right and wrong is. You don't need dogma. You don't need God to tell you what's right and wrong. If you think you do, you're a fucking psychopath. Only psychopaths will reach inside themselves and not find anything good, right?
Okay.
Did I put that well?
So what they are, would you? I think you should qualify that in the future, saying they are self-admitted psychopaths.
Yeah,
Yeah.
basically. Yeah.
That'll sound worse to them, but it'll be exactly accurate, because that's what they're doing. The way you highlighted this is very good, very accurate.
Yeah, they have to have somebody tell them what's right and wrong.
It's
Otherwise
accurate.
they wouldn't know.
It's very accurate. It's just accurate.
Because in reality, here's how morality and ethics are done. You're born into a society. You pick up your cues from mom and dad about what's right or wrong. As you get older, you pick it up. You learn to cooperate or perish in some way with your peer group. And then you get older and you maybe get educated or go to work, and you learn that even among different generations, there's a pecking order, and you follow along with that. It may be right, it may be wrong, but that's kind of generally what you do. Somewhere, as you're growing and learning in that ethical and moral environment, you come up with ideas of your own and try to integrate them into the existing morals and mores, or whatever you call them. And if you reach a point of maturity that most people don't reach, you begin to be an activist for maybe a totally different set of values and ideals. And people like Martin Luther King Jr., and other activists for equal rights and the dignity of everybody, stood up, and they acted. I don't know what the word is. They
Non-violently.
pled and advocated. There we go, for those new rights and new priorities, and even lost their life because of it, or were put in jail or tortured in the dark jails and the dark dungeons of southern United States. And that's kind of how it works. And then progress was made. Now fewer people, believe it or not, given today's environment, fewer people think that certain people should not be extended certain rights. We're still struggling, but and it's certainly not right. But that's how morals develop, and it's going to develop that way whether you're religious or not.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, you're born into a family with parents, and humans, Homo sapiens, parents have this automatic attachment to children, and we call it unconditional love, and it's really a thing, right? And when you're born into that environment, because of what you are genetically, if you had no dogma at all, no culture at all, you would develop with just your parents alone, you would develop a morality. You'd have morality with your parents. If you have brothers and sisters, it extends to that. That doesn't mean that there aren't outliers and that there aren't problems in this stuff, But for the most part, humans always build their own morality. We have done that ever since we were on the savannah. And in fact, all primates do it. They work it out in their community. And this is inborn. The problems become when you have a belief or an idea, or you have some political idea, those ideas can be contorted to the point where you decide that the right thing to do is go and kill a bunch of other people, right? You decide to go out and do some violent act. That comes from rationality. That doesn't come from what's in you. What is innate in humans is a form of morality that works very, very well. And it works in all animal packs. I mean, it's just something that biology needs in order to have a species that groups together. And these guys don't get that. And that disturbs me. So even if you were raised by wolves, I believe you would end up with a morality. You'd like other wolves more than you like humans, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, the humans might not like it if you pee on their house or whatever.
Yeah, well, depends on how you're raised.
Or their skateboard happen to be in school.
Yeah. So let's see. Yeah, psychopaths use a golden rule or a veil of ignorance to determine how to treat others, even though they lack. Yeah, psychopaths.
Is that what he's saying?
Really
Sorry,
good.
is that what he said?
Psychopaths are really good at imitating, basically.
Or did he say that the veil of ignorance is used by psychopaths?
Yeah, the veil of ignorance. I'm not sure what that one means.
He said some do. He said some do.
A sec. Is that what he said, though?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's crazy. The veil of ignorance is a concept that was introduced by John Rawls in his 1971 book, The Theory of Justice. It's a pretty dry read because it's kind of repetitive, but the concepts in there are fantastic. Mm-hmm. And the veil of ignorance is intended for lawmakers. The idea is that when you make a law as a lawmaker, you go through this mental exercise of you could be anybody in society, and you don't know who that person will be until after these laws are put into place. And so it's to try to get people who are making laws to think about how to make the laws equal and beneficial to everybody. And it is a good idea. I use it also. I find it's quite useful in making moral determinations, and because if my own decisions, how are they going to affect other people? It's just kind of like considering what other people's perspectives would be. But imagine you're making a law. What's it going to be like for you if you were thrown into society once these laws are put into place that you're drafting, and you are blind, or you are male or versus female, or you have some kind of other disability, or you're poor, or you're rich, or you're the taste and smells of certain perfumes and foods are a problem for you, or different things like that, so it's trying to, or you have a certain color of skin, or your hair can only grow long or something. There's all kinds of different possibilities that the realistic ones, of course, you want to think about, but the idea is to kind of to encourage people to make laws in a manner that are fair and equal to everybody, and everybody can get equal benefits. So the laws don't end up discriminating against people. It's a very important concept. So if he's saying the veil of ignorance is evil, he either doesn't understand.
No, that's not what he's saying. That's not what he's saying.
Yeah.
He said that some psychopaths will use that to learn right from wrong, even though they lack empathy.
Yeah, or at least
as if it's somebody that has gone through therapy or whatever.
Yeah. Okay, now this part is correct. There was a fellow being interviewed he's an academic from studying social psychology, and he was using stuff like that because he was studying psychopaths, and it turned out that he was identified through the tests that he and his team designed, identified him as a psychopath. And then he's looking at it and he's saying, oh yeah, I never realized I was a psychopath. And so anyway, he's been able to use this information to improve the way he lives and the way he deals with other people. He hasn't done anything bad, but he certainly fit the bill, and it helped him a lot to kind of discover more about himself and improve things. It was a whole 1 hour show they did on CBC about a year or so ago. It was fascinating hearing it.
Yeah.
So yes, psychopaths can use that, and the outcome can be very good.
Yeah. So I think I'm done with self for for the day. I think I've had enough.
Yeah, it was.
Sorry,
Well, I'm not done talking about his ideas, but I mean, I'm just done watching his video.
Yeah,
I hope I didn't go on too much.
No, you didn't. No,
No.
that was fine.
it's just his thinking is so skewed
It is.
by his religion. The religion has, I think, done him harm.
Yeah.
He seems more interested in propaganda than he does in properly interpreting the Bible or anything else. So it's really sad to see that. And I know he's smart because, he can do math and stuff like that. I just think he needs to apply his smarts to himself and to being more objective. Just because you talk about objectivity doesn't mean you've achieved it. If you never really achieve it, you have to fight for it.
Yeah. Well, he has a strong history as a rabble rouser. And I think in a lot of ways, creationism for him is a way to say it is a way to interject himself and cause trouble. And he seems to do that everywhere he goes. Like, he's done that since 2000, since he was on campus and he was in that group, and he ended up on the front of some magazine. And then he went on. And he did it in blogs, to the point where everybody got pissed off at him and started banning him and barring him. And then he got his YouTube channel and he's doing it there. And then he ended up in a church, at McLean Bible Church, and he ended up causing trouble there, to the point where they decided to have him arrested if he came back. So, I mean, this is kind of his history, and it's like a lot of creationists, I think one of the things that really appeals to them about creationism is that they can other people, this othering process where they can other everybody else. And we lost Andrew. But I think that's kind of a big part of it. And, it's like if you belong to an exclusive group, it kind of like, it has an effect on your ego, not a good effect, but it over amplifies your ego. And if you're a person who basically has some sort of complex, and you need your ego basically exalted, then if you find an exclusive group that is very tiny, a minority that goes against the whole, and you can think that you are the one true, and you have the one true idea, and you're the smartest motherfucker on the block, that just all leads into this. And I think a lot of creationism has to do with that. I really do. They actually think that they are the real scientists, the real smart people. They got the right idea. They got the right God. They got the fucking apocalypse on their side and all that bullshit. It's just, I don't know. I just think there's something wrong with it. So
yeah, he goes straight from this. I'm trying to find the name again. Patricia MacCormack. MacCormack. I keep wanting to say McGorman. It must be an actress or something.
Yeah.
Patricia MacCormack goes to there and then says, she's such a celebrity, which I don't know if she is. She's written a book. She's had it reviewed in a few publications, and she's done other writing and other presentations and things like that. But and creationism is more. I forget what the word he used, but basically more just as acceptable as that. But if you're a creationist, you get fired and blah blah. And there's actual and then he goes on to talk about the apocalypse. So he makes this quick, 180. Not 180, but right turn, sudden right turn into persecution, which talk about going off the rails there. Talk about losing the point and dying on your sword at the same time. It was just the weirdest change in.
If they were in control, things would be outlawed, like this show, this ritual. There would be censorship. There would be outlawing certain things, just exactly what was going on in the 19th century. with like Native Americans.
The Bureau of Decent Behavior,
Right.
or something.
And what happened in Australia was fucking horrendous too. With the
Aborigines
Native population there. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
just egregious things to these people.
He seems unable to even discern this, and that is that Patricia. Are you trying to say something? Hello, I'm getting an echo.
Oh shit! I'm gonna leave for a minute. I'll be right back.
Okay.
They really mean to put a stop to the things that everybody else enjoys. They want conformity. It's what religions, the central tenet of religions. It's kind of an unspoken or undocumented, not directly documented tenet that with religions, they need everybody to conform. Have you ever heard Christians in particular say that if only the whole world, every single person in the world was a Christian and believed in God, then we'd have world peace. Yeah. And the Muslims make the same claim about their God. And, it just doesn't make any sense. And they're for 2,000 years, they're saying, give God a chance. No, he doesn't deserve a chance in the first place. Ordering a father to kill his own son, flooding the world, drowning people to death. It's ridiculous. This stuff is evil, and these people want to be, they really want to destroy all the nice things we have in life and replace it with their ridiculous, sorely outdated faith.
And go ahead.
Okay, if they had the chance, they would legislate this stuff.
Yeah.
If they got in control. And right now, they are probably amounting to 60% of the Republican Party. I mean, they are basically they're in that party. So they're so far up the Republicans' asses right now that there's a danger.
Sorry,
what's that?
When haven't they been? Was that like before Republican Democrats switched places?
No, there was not. Basically, in the 70s and 60s, the Republicans were an entirely different kind of party.
Yeah, and then they switched places with the Democrats, as I understand it.
Kind of. Yeah. They switched on a lot of things because all of a sudden abortion became part of the platform. And I mean, the Republican Party in the 60s and the 70s, as I knew it, was a party that
anti-abortion stuff, right?
What's that?
Yeah. You meant anti-abortion.
Yeah, anti-abortion. In the 60s and 70s, it was like, you stay out of my bedroom. You stay out of my house. You stay out of my sex life. You stay out of my life entirely, right? Small government, economically tight, that sort of thing. Those are the principles that they adhere to. And so what does basically legislating what happens in a lady's womb, how is that staying out of their bedroom, out of their space? It just goes against the Republican Party entirely, or censorship or any of that shit. I mean, it's just they realized in the 70s that these evangelicals were an amazingly powerful force in the United States. And there was a group called the Young Republicans in Berkeley, I think they started up. And they got so much attention, and they were primarily a biblical conservative faction. And the Republican Party took notice of all that, and they thought, hey, we've got 30% of the vote hanging on a limb here. Let's go get it. So they fell into it, and now the whole fucking party is filthy, stinking filthy with this shit. And it has caused a real problem in our country. And it's almost like it's self-perpetrating. It's getting worse. They're raising their kids that way or whatever the hell is going on. But it's just, it stinks. It really stinks. I can't wait until the Republican Party calls me this fall for a donation. I got some words for them. Normally, for the last 5-6 years or 10 years, I've been hanging up on them or telling them I'm not interested. With 1 year, I said, you are no longer my party, and hung up on them. But I think this year, I'm going to spend 15 minutes talking to them.
You should record that conversation and then decide whether to share it on YouTube, because I think that would be an interesting thing for people to hear.
Yeah, it would be. I want to hear what they have to say. It depends on what kind of Republican I'm talking to,
Yeah. And all you have to do is put your phone on speakerphone. You can record it. That's what I do when telemarketers call me.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think we have a one-party consent in Minnesota, so for recording, I think it's only you have to know, that sort of thing.
Yeah, it's like that here in Canada.
Yep.
One recording can consent to it as long as they are participating in the conversation. If they're only listening, you need to get consent from a participant, someone who's actually
right.
adding to it. Yeah, we can speak.
I think it might be the same way here. So
Yeah, it's just the laws are worded.
Minnesota did something cool last summer. So we just had a big lottery winner. She won, I don't know, 130 million or something.
Wow.
And I didn't know this, but last summer they passed a law, or they changed the law so that you can remain anonymous, so nobody knows who this person is. And I think that's
a law for that. Oh,
there are some states that basically there are some. Well, Minnesota used to be a state that required you to come forward publicly to get the prize, and it fucking ruined people's lives. You know, I mean, it just destroys people.
Well, there's that aspect of people knowing it publicly, but then a lot of what destroys people's lives is they don't know what to do with all that money.
Yeah.
And they end up wasting it or giving in to family, or, you know, suddenly you have more family than you ever thought you would ever have.
Well, this couple took 2 weeks to come forward, and in that 2 weeks, they got a lawyer. They assembled a team of accountants, lawyers, and all this shit. They did the right thing.
That's who they say to what they say to do is wait.
Pretty smart.
That's why they wanted it, because they wanted to remain anonymous. Now, I guess the public, like, I understand that people will blow through the money very quickly, and it's they just go on a spending spree because they've got so much of it, they lose track of it all.
And out of the generosity of their hearts, they'll give a lot of it away.
Give a lot of it away.
And some people will just be very smart with it and save it and donate some of it, maybe if they're nice. And but mostly they'll pay off their debts and buy things for their friends.
Create some sort of trust or something so that you're living off the interest.
Most of them blow it fast, and then very often later on they regret ever having won in the first place.
Yeah.
So but I guess for these people, there's some people that their life gets ruined because people from the general public are contacting them and harassing them. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. Yeah. This one woman won $400 million.
Hello.
Hey, Midnight.
This woman won $400 and some million, and she had to change her name, and they just wrecked her life. I mean, she had people going house to house trying to find out where she lived, and she had like every scammer in the world was after her. And then what happened is they took her name and they created Facebook accounts, and they pretended they were her, and they would go out and start scamming other people. They would say, "Oh, I'm going to send you money. I'm so and so." I forget what her name was, but they started using her name all over the place, and it's just like her. Basically, it was horrifying what they did to this woman because she was one of the giant lottery winners. Or no, I think she won 700 million. It was an incredible amount. But anyway, hi Midnight. What's up? What are you doing?
Oh, nothing much. I figured I'd join since it's Friday. It's Shit Show Friday. So there you go.
And we're gonna shoot it ahead in about 5 minutes.
Really?
Yeah, maybe 3.
Why?
Well, because I gotta go. My friend's out chainsawing my path.
But it's only 5:26.
Yeah, but we started at 3 today.
Oh.
Yeah. It's 4:26. I got to get out there and walk down my path. I made it all the way down my hill today, and my altimeter said it was 80 feet, and I made it all the way up the hill. So I basically walked up 8 flights of stairs, and did not have a heart attack. Anyway,
it's good you're still here, Speed. Randolph, how you doing, Mr. Tables?
Really good. How are you?
I'm good.
So I can see that building that you were building.
Oh, it's we're just about to put up I have someone coming this week, and we're going to start putting the door in place. And so I have quite a lot of work to do. I have to be careful with my spending as well, so it's not going as fast as I'd like.
Oh, gotcha.
So, yeah. But we've got it. That's all that's left is for getting the door done and then putting the siding on, and then it'll be ready to start getting the insides work done.
Yeah, how come we're not getting video anymore of your construction project?
I've not been out there doing it. I've hired somebody else who's been
Because
doing
I'm not doing it.
Smart. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
But
but you could take the camera out there. Show us.
some electrical in the near future. So I'll get on and be doing that when you guys are on in the near future. So
Yeah, you could show us what it looks like. But
yeah,
that would
yeah.
be cool.
Lots of people are asking. I really appreciate the interest. Thank you, everyone. Canada Dry. I
Yeah,
have some.
I thought
on
you'd
the shelf.
appreciate the name.
I do appreciate the name. I have some on the shelf over here. I should go
This
grab
is
them.
zero sugar because I can no longer have sugar.
So I gotta wrap things up, guys. I got some things to attend to.
All
I
right.
saw somebody walk by you.
Yeah, he had a chainsaw in his hand. Did you
That's
notice?
Gary.
Yeah.
No, I just noticed somebody walk by you. I didn't see the chainsaw.
That's
Yep.
Gary.
Look,
It's
Speed.
scary.
I'm gonna be honest with you. Every time you're on camera, the only thing I focus on is the books. Okay,
Oh
that's
yeah.
the only thing I focus on.
So it's not scary because he wasn't wearing a Jason hockey mask.
Yeah.
Like all those
You
books.
got a point.
all
Friday
those-
the 13th.
oh my god.
Okay, we're shooting in the head.
You
And I
have some
got
opportunities to make some horror movies in that
Yes.
yard.
excellent. Okay, guys. Goodbye, cruel world.
All right.
Good night.
It was
Thank
nice
you.
talking to you, Randolph, and Midnight.
Yep. Bye bye.
Answers in Atheism.
Come on. Oh, I got to end the broadcast.